approach to action is to act, to work towards a goal, but at the same time to know that the outcome is not in your control. The outcome is, as Krishna says, is his account book of karmas, and it will be put together, and on that it will be decided. You can pray to God for success, and then God will reschedule your good karmas to get. It's like getting Provident Fund, getting your Provident Fund a little early. It's there to get for you to get at the end of your active life and when on retirement. But you can get a little in advance as a loan. So therefore, or as an earlier installment. The same way, Gita makes it very clear that ultimately all results are going to depend on your karmas. And those karmas are inclusive of your Purva Janma karma. And this karma philosophy is the only one which explains life. I don't know of any other religion which has an explanation why sometimes you get nothing after heroic working for it, and sometimes it all suddenly comes without any work. Or why a completely incompetent person compared to you gets recognition for something where you are denied that recognition. So this dilemma we face in life, and we say life is unfair. But what actually, and that leads to stress. And stress has led to a very high cardiac problem in the American executives. So they are now saying, yes, you have to work for company goals, but your freedom is in the choice of actions. What comes out, what the results come, that of course is totally dependent on me. It's what Krishna makes it very clear. So that's the first thing I should say. So he says, Gita then raises the question, how should this action be performed? And here again you have a shloka number 41 in chapter 2, and that is on page of this book is 31, I think. And what it says is this, shloka number 41, and it says, in practice of this yoga, O Arjuna, there is but a single one-pointed determination. Multifarious and innumerable are the decisions of the infirm in mind. In other words, if you're going to do something, block out everything else. Just focus on this. And that's the only way you will be able to reach your goal. So in our country, in our system, in India, people have got so many thoughts in their mind. Halfway through they will think of another route. That's not the way to do it. In fact, when Drona was asking Arjuna, when Arjuna pulled his bow to kill a bird, he said, what do you see? He said, I see the iris of the eye of the bird and nothing else. That is called single-pointedness. Gita says you must have single-pointedness. When I was doing this 2G spectrum matter in Supreme Court, people came in, this corruption also you should take up, that corruption also you should take up. I followed the Gita, I said I'll take up 2G and nothing else. Other things, other people can take it up. This business of doing a little bit of everything and having all these ideas float in your mind is usually the cause of why you have failure. And that failure is because you are infirm in mind. And you are infirm in mind because you have multivarious thoughts. When you decide to do an important project, then the mindset should be that nothing else matters. And there you focus on it. So this is the second thing. First is your freedom of action. But that freedom of action should be exercised with total concentration on achieving that objective. Nothing else should matter. Of course, when you say nothing else matters, it doesn't mean that means don't matter. Of course, means matter. But your whole dedication should be to achieving it. And that's why it says that again in Shloka 15, in chapter 2, let me read that also out, which defines how fruit is to be given. And in that, yes. So he says, Krishna says, "O great among men, that wise man who remains the same in pain and pleasure, and whom these emotions do not afflict, is indeed fit for immortality." There's another shloka which says, "Sukadukhaye samaipittava." It gives you the series of opposites and say that these series of opposites ought to, you should be not affected by either. You should not be delirious in victory. You should not be depressed in defeat. They should all be moderated. It should be both should be treated as two sides of the same coin. So, A, your action, you are free. B, you should be single-pointed. And 3, the results of those actions are not in your control. But once the results come, you should neither be exhilarated because you won, nor should you be depressed that you lost. And this requires a great deal of mind control and meditation and so on. But ultimately, by a process slowly of moderating, you will be able to achieve this objective. Now, there is now a lot of American books which are being written, recycling all this without giving credit to Gita. I think that Deepak Chopra has done a $1 billion business on this. Much of what he says is really already there, but he writes it in American English, and it's fine. I mean, it's entrepreneurship, and he's made a success of it. But there are other reports which also come out, and some of them are now classic texts in school, in psychology courses. In Stanford University, there is a professor by name Carol Dweck, and she has classified mindsets into two types. The first mindset she calls as the fixed mindset, which is where you say, I know my limits, I failed because I'm a failure. This is the kind of a pessimistic outlook that one has. Then she says there's a growth mindset, and this growth mindset is, I really have no idea the extent of my potential. But if I have failed, it is because I have to retool myself and retry to realize my potential. And retrying is absolutely essential. As you know that Islam failed to come to India because repeated invasions were defeated. But finally, it was Muhammad Ghori who came how many times, I don't know, some say 16 times, some say 10 times. 18 times something. But in the end he won. And that's how Islam was established. Of course, the problem was also with our culture in the sense that we had rules of warfare which you will not find a parallel anywhere in the world. One was that war will not start till the sun rises. And the battle for the day will end when the sun sets and you come back to your tent and have a good night's sleep and then return back. Second is the war will not be in the agricultural fields, it will not be in the cities or populated areas. It will be in open Maidan. So Kurukshetra was an open Maidan. where the war took place. And similarly, when Ravan had to confront Rama, he didn't say to Rama, you come inside my fort. He came outside the fort and fought in the open Maidan. So that was the second principle. And the third principle is that if you are defeated and you say, I'm sorry,